I think the key thing for me at age 19, I had what you might call a date with destiny, really. I was standing in front of a judge in Birmingham Magistrates Court. I was being sentenced, right? So the mentor can be in a book, right? You can pick up a book and you can be mentored by someone's writings or watching them, right? But in a person-to-person actual physical relationship, it's to do our best to keep our proximity to the person. And as individuals, in fact, we have to come to a place of understanding what the vision for our lives is. We know the Bible says without a vision, people perish.
So hi.
Hello.
Finally, we finally had to do this, right?
We are here.
Good to meet you, Errol.
Yes, good to be here.
So you see, I'll start with saying, it's glad to finally sit down with you. It's glad to finally tell the world about what you're doing in this part of the world. But first things first, I'll let you to tell the world, who am I speaking with?
Wow. Well, firstly, thank you for having me on the show today. My name is Eroll Lawson. I'm a minister, I'm an author, I'm a coach, I'm an entrepreneur, and I'm a husband, I'm a father. And I love people. I love serving people, I love making a difference. And born and raised right here in Birmingham, where we are now.
Awesome.
Good to be here.
So how has your journey been like? So I've read several parts of your story. You've talked about being author. Now I have almost all your books here. Now, what's been your journey like from living in Birmingham, starting a family here, running your business? How has it been like for you practically? I'm looking at the audience, looking at someone that this is your community. What has growing up been like for you before you finally emerged to this version of yourself?
Well, Birmingham, like most places, is a land of opportunity. And I think there's a great advantage for somebody who's coming in from Nigeria or from other parts of the world where they are educated. There's a lot of advantages. In fact, there's a road across the road from here where I actually grew up. My first home was on Broadway Road, not far from here. And I grew up here in Birmingham, and at age 11, my parents divorced. And I went off the rails completely. My dad was incarcerated for most of my teenage years. I was homeless at 16 years old, right? So the context that I was raised in and lived in was one where racism was the order of the day. And so black Caribbean people growing up in Birmingham here, there was a lot of struggle, resistance, opposition, persecution, and we were limited for opportunities. And so the consequence of that was that we carried a lot of weight and our chips on our shoulders, we would say. So we went through life kind of, pointing fingers, making excuses, and there's a lot of struggle factored into the system. And so I said it to say that since obviously I've been to Africa several times now, on missionary work, ministry work, different things, and I have seen the difference in the character and the disposition of a black person who is raised in an environment like Africa, where there's no opposition to your identity directly. You're free to aspire, to dream big, to imagine big for yourself. And then you come here with that. I mean, I remember going to Ghana at times and talking to kids about goal setting. Their goals would always be things like president and prime minister, doctor, and they just had this aspiration that you ask the same questions to young people here and raised here, you wouldn't see it in them, right? And so, well, they'll be thinking about, a lot of the times it was just to make money, right? Just to make money, and that could be through illegal means, it could be through maybe doing what their parents are doing, that they've seen their parents do, but there was a limitation. Hence, my first book was called From the Postcode to the Globe, How to Overcome Limitations and Realize Your Potential. And so I think, that's my first one. It's a bestseller on Amazon. I think there's a lot of psychological, mental, emotional advantages to not having been raised in this environment. And if you can carry your confidence that you've found from home and bring that into this place, man, you're gonna shine. You're gonna shine. You can see it that way. I believe you will.
So what would you say was your own? Now we've talked about your era, racism. How were you able to overcome those odds for you and finally become this version of? Because definitely, when you beat the odds and finally come out this way, it's not always it's not as smooth as it sounds. So what was it like for you? Because when I came into this town and I came to visit you, the funny thing was that I'd known you way back from Nigeria. I'd followed you on the internet. And I was like, when you get into the city, the first rule is find out those in the city that have tribes in the city and ask them questions. And the good question is, how are you able to thrive? I'm not asking you to give me everything, but what was it like for you? What was your own strong journey?
Yeah. It's a great question. And I think the key thing for me at age 19, I had what you might call a date with destiny, really. I was standing in front of a judge in Birmingham Magistrates Court. I was being sentenced, right? When they say if your parents go to prison, and chances are you'll go the same way. Anyway, I was there and the judge said to me, Mr. Lawson, you're not going to prison, but you are going to do 100 hours of community service. What that meant was that I'd have to go to a place down the road from here, Perrybar Probation Office every Friday, and check in there to do my hours until my hours are completed. But the great turn of events was that my probation officer, a black man called Ransford Clarkson, he saw me and he said, let me give this young man a chance. And he took me to a place in Handsworth, not far from here, to do my hours at a building owned by an old Irishman. His name was John Holcroft. And long story short, John became a father figure to me. And this mentor, this father figure saw past my limitations, my mindset, my everything about me, and just believed in me when no one else did. And I was at rock bottom. I was at absolute rock bottom, and he just made me realize my potential and gave me an opportunity to start my first company at 19 years old. He mentored me. He guided me to get that started. And when that company then started, it became a huge turning point for me. And so you said exactly the right thing. It's about relationships and it's about people. And it's about having that mindfulness and that intentionality about surveying the land and asking people, sitting down, having conversations with people, finding out how the systems work here, how the roadmap is laid out, and then, just building relationships. And so for me, it was a key relationship in this gentleman called John that opened up a whole world of possibilities to me. I found myself in meetings with city leaders and councillors and all kinds of people I'd never imagined sitting in front of, and hearing them talk and discuss important things and saying to myself, is this all they do? I can do this, right? If this is what it takes, this is what it's all about, I can do this. And by the exposure, my confidence began to grow. By the exposure, my dreams began to get bigger and bigger and bigger. And that was probably the main thing at the start of my journey.
So what you've said now is the power of mentorship, the power of having someone that really believes in you, and having someone that, because trust me, having someone that bets on you is like, it's 10, is like on a scale of 1/10 is like 10. Now, there's one mistake we normally make when it comes to having someone that bets on you. How do you manage a relationship that's built on mentorship? Because it's easy to get one.
Yes.
But where we have the problem most times is the gap in between. I've met my mentor. Now, how do I build that relationship so that, one, I'm not a burden to my mentor. I'm also a work in progress, because at the end of the day, I think the big idea for every mentor is to finally say, yes, I helped him make it. How do I make sure it's worth the journey for you, that is the mentor, and for me, that is the mentee, so that we don't have a parasitic relationship, or we don't have one relationship where one person gets tired and one person gets scared of showing up. What do you think was that one thing that you did well that made this relationship thrive?
So I think there's a few things, right? I think one thing is about proximity, okay? And when we talk about mentors, a mentor can be in a book, right? You can pick up a book and you can be mentored by someone's writings or watching them, right? But in a person-to-person, actual physical relationship, it's to do our best to keep our proximity to the person, right? So if you imagine the first day I met John, there were 3 of us standing there, and we were all there smoking on spliffs, and he came out of his car to us, who were sent to do our community service hour thing. And it gave us all an opportunity. He said, any of you lads here play football? And we were like, yeah. And what? He said, well, I want to start a football team from this building. I'll give you the kits, the league fees, the minibus, whatever you need to run this team. We looked at each other and we said, nah, you're okay, mate. Long thing, we walked off and we left it. But at the end of that day, I went back to John. I said, John, tell me more. Because I love the game of football. I already had a team that I was part of and running them. Tell me more. He said, yes, sir, I'll give you the kit, the minibus, whatever you need. I want to start a team. And on a Sunday morning, I said, okay, I'll do it. And he gave me everything. I ran the team. My team were all gang members. But what interestingly happened was the team didn't last very long because of the fights and everything else, right? But I ended up staying with John. And the other two guys who were with us, they had the same opportunity.
Okay.
They were asked the same question.
Okay.
Their stories are very different. I could tell you that another day. But it was about proximity. I stayed with John. I literally followed him around everywhere I could just to sit with him and learn from him. Sometimes you may have a mentor where you don't know him that well, or they're in another country, right?
Yeah.
My pastor's in another country, he's in Nigeria, right?
Oh, really?
And so it's like, how do I maintain a relationship?
Yeah.
Honor,
Right.
very important, right?
Yeah.
Honor the person,
Yeah.
honor them, honor and respect the boundaries of the relationship. Sometimes people mistake mentorship with somebody being a biological father or parent, and they get so familiar with the individual as though they cross the lines of honor and respect before permission has been given. Any additional space inside a mentor's life must be given by permission. It must be an invitation closer to them. Until such time as you receive the invitation to come closer into their world, into their space, assume that you are on trial. Assume that you're being tested. Assume that they're watching you to see how true you are, how sure you are, how authentic you are, how much you are sincere in your pursuit, in your fellowship of them. Are you with me? Yeah. And so it's I have mentees, and I've had amazing sons, sons who are so just that my heart, that I carry them in my heart. Then there are others who become over familiar or on friendly terms that I haven't granted that, or we haven't come to that place of understanding or into permission hasn't been given, right? And so they've assumed it, but it's not granted. Are you with me?
Yeah.
And so I think honor is always important. And if somebody has received you and accepted you as a mentee, it's better to assume at that point that you are on trial, that you are being tested, and honor them, be humble, accept the opportunities you're given, be a blessing, serve them, ask, how can I serve you? How can I be a blessing to you? How can I be of value to you? But don't take ground where permission is not being given.
I think that answers a lot of questions, because it's always the assumption that he's my mentor, she's my mentor, and I can do everything. I think nobody tells you this thing, Errol. Nobody sees this. Nobody sees it. Everybody assumes you are aware. And when you cross the boundaries, maybe the next time you pick up the phone to call,
you've been blocked.
You've been ghosted. and so that gets to the next conversation. I'm like, there are rules of engagement and leadership. And Errol, you've done this for. So I've written books, but when I see anyone that has done this, that have books, I understand one, it takes patience to write. It takes so much to put this together. Now, what do you think that leadership in the whole of the UK now, you're a voice to young people, you've run your business, and you've seen the leadership gaps in this era of where everybody feels that we have technology, and technology is like the first is your go-to, but you know very well that there's a leadership gap on how to react, how to be with people. What's that lesson you think most people in the 21st century, 2025, 2024 workplace needs to always embrace for them to finally thrive? Yeah.
I think you probably agree with me on this one. There are several. I mean, I talk about the 5 core abilities of highly effective leaders in my book, and my leadership book. But I think one of the key things when it comes to people, it's about emotional intelligence, right? Okay. Understanding emotional intelligence. If there is one people skill I wish that everybody would have, it would be this. Somebody who is emotionally intelligent is able to, number one, empathize with other people. They can put themselves in the shoes of other people. They can see the world from their vantage point. They can relate to them. They're able to humble themselves in such a way that they create such a world of space for the person that they're connecting and communicating with. It takes emotional intelligence to do that.
True, I agree.
They're also able to read their own emotions. So they can they know themselves. They have a certain level of self-awareness about their strengths, their weaknesses, their likes, their dislikes, their areas of growth and development, their personality traits, the environments in which they thrive, and all those things. They're very much aware of how they're showing up and being perceived in life. But thirdly, they're able to adapt their own emotional inner state to the environment that they are in. And so when they are speaking with somebody who is overly excited, emotional, whatever it is, they themselves, they either know how to read that person and adapt to that person fittingly in the moment. Are you with me? And so what happens a lot of times, we see the opposite, don't we? We see people who completely lack emotional intelligence, and so they have one track. So everyone that they speak to, it's bam.
They're very high.
They're very high, right? Whereas and everybody else in the room is very quiet and very calm and very sober and somber. And they come in and they insist on being here I am, right?
Yeah.
No, you didn't read the room. You didn't read the room.
And there's a crime for it.
Right? Yeah. As everyone else goes, okay then, kind of, right? And so our ability to read the environment, to read the room, is what we call emotional intelligence. And so if we're going to thrive in any environment, and what you said earlier about being able to reach out to people, to contact people, to arrange meetings, to have conversations, it's an indication of having emotional intelligence. Because somebody who doesn't realize that, well, they're always going to be more self-conscious than they are the other person conscious. They're always going to be looking down themselves and doubting and questioning themselves and not able to get out of their comfort zone. But when you know who you are and you have a vision in life for yourself, you understand your purpose, you realize that for me to move forward, I have to come out of this place called my comfort zone and reach out and meet some new people. And it becomes a part of who you are. It becomes natural, becomes normal. Hallelujah.
True. So what you're saying in your message for this book is that we have to, you've given me 2 hours, we have 3 more. I need you to tell me the 3 more. We'll get the book. But the idea is this. I know in this space, people, one of the few lessons I've picked around here is that because people are more self-sufficient, people don't completely admit that human skills, what you're speaking about is important to them. How do you make it bear to them? How do you show the blind man that, see, you can't see? without making them feel, because at the end of the day, I'm like, people silly. When Henry Ford came out, and before we had Ford, they told him, people will always use horses. I mean, he told them, you've not given them the cars yet. They had to see the cars for them to see that horses were just the options they had. How do you help people in your work to make them realize that this skill of human skills that is important is key to them, without them feeling, making it's like within the room, within their ignorance, and understanding that it's a need for them? And how do you pass it across? Because you've been doing it in your own line of work.
Great question. I think this is an ability of leaders, right? And I in my book, I call it the vision number one. Ability number one is vision, and it's being able to create and communicate a compelling vision. So as leaders, those who have people that we are either serving or leading, and as individuals, in fact, we have to come to a place of understanding what the vision for our lives is. We know the Bible says without a vision, the people perish. Well, what is a vision? Somebody might be asking, Pastor Errol. Well, a vision is, it's a picture of your revealed future, all right? a picture of your revealed. Now, I'm speaking from a Christian perspective.
Yeah.
If I was in a leadership conference in the secular space, I'd say it's a picture of your preferred future.
Yeah.
But we know as a minister, as a leader, Christian leader, it's a picture of our revealed future. It's what I have seen from God, from the Word of God, whether through prophecy, through dream, through vision, through impartation, through prayer, through study of the Word. I have seen something of God that reveals to me who I am. And that who-ness of who I am becomes the vision for my life. And everything now, every decision that I make must be in alignment with the vision for my life. I'll give you an example. When I was younger, when I became a Christian, I realized very quickly that I needed to be able to be a public speaker. I was so afraid of speaking. I had started a business, and at my first business event, I was asked to go on stage and speak. And I hid behind the curtain. I literally, Charles, I said, no, my friend Terry can go and do that, close the show. I can't do it. Too many people. And I hid. I was scared. But the vision that God had given me for my life was one of ministry and pastoring people. And it was impossible for me to lead in that way without having the ability to communicate. So what did I do? Because the vision drove me to realize that this thing in my life had to check. So I joined speaking clubs, the Toastmasters group, Professional Speakers Association, entered speaking competitions, and every opportunity I had in church to deliver the offering talk, or to do the announcements, or to just to practice these skills, I learned so much in the church. And so the vision for my life drove me then to develop skills that would help me to achieve and accomplish the vision. And so somebody here who's hearing us today, who's maybe saying to themselves, and they're feeling very maybe stuck or stagnant or in their comfort zone, I always encourage you to go back to what has God written concerning you. What has been spoken concerning your life, your destiny, your future. Maybe it was when you were younger, a family friend spoke to you, a church leader spoke to you, someone in the workplace, a boss spoke to you and said, this is who you are, this is what you're good at, this is who you can become. They spoke to that part of you that no one else can deny or describe. That thing that you got to press into that. You got to key into that sense of purpose and then develop the skills that are required to become that individual. Are you with me?
Yeah. Perfect. So I didn't want you to stop.
Okay. Yeah.
So this is 2024, the year is coming to the end. In a couple of months, there'll be the review of the year. That's the best time you have your expertise comes into place. What's the best way for anyone who has looked at their year, seen the gaps, and wants to intentionally want to pick up their own lesson and to do their own life better? What would you want your advice for them?
So yeah, your questions are very good. Friend, you've done it before.
No, you're the expert. You understand the environment, so it will make sense. So someone said, when you come to King Solomon and there are several options on the table, what should you do? You ask King Solomon questions, because that's the only way for you to. Because at the end of the day, knowledge is rare. Not everyone has it. So for someone that's experienced the environment, it will come easy for you. But for the rest of the people out there, it's difficult for them. Yeah.
So let me give you maybe a different take on this for someone who's listening. And they're in that position and thinking about how do they review their 12-month period. Well, I would say to you, my friend, my brother, my sister, the time to review your year is not the end of the year. All right? Yeah. If you're only reviewing your year in December, then you've missed too many opportunities to review. So I would even recommend you to break down your year into 3-month chunks, so quarters. And every 3 months we do what we call sprints. Yeah. A 3-month sprint where we have our 90-day goals. And we set our goals for 90 days, and then every 90 days we review, we reflect, and we check out our progress, and then we set goals for the next 90 days. Yeah. Are you with me? And so what I find from my mentors and from other successful leaders is that they're not doing annual reviews of their lives, their goals, their ministries. They're actually chunking down their ministries, or sorry, their goals and objectives into quarterly goals and objectives, and there's a quarterly review. Are you with me?
Yeah.
What that allows somebody to do is to make faster progress, right?
Yeah.
Because what you're doing in your review is you're asking yourself what went well, what didn't go so well, and what can I do better next time around.
Yeah.
And you're making the shifts, you're getting the slight edge advantage over those different objectives and goals, and then you're taking action forward. Are you with me?
Yeah.
And so I'd say to you, we know traditionally we say New Year's and New Year resolutions. Those things are not really for successful people and leaders who are seeking to drive change and innovate and create a legacy and generational impact. They're not thinking about New Year's resolutions. I'm sure if you ask any person who you know who's a member, a significant leader, any guys,
Yeah.
they're not thinking about New Year's resolutions.
True.
They're setting objectives and goals every day in some cases. They're reviewing and reflecting. It's not just New Year's. So New Year's is a good time, so there's a break in the year, there's a holiday period.
Yeah.
People are chilled, they're wind down, they're with family, they're relaxing and reflecting. But it shouldn't be the only time of the year that you come to review and reflect on your goals.
Okay.
So Errol, let's look at your business. Towards the end of the year, there will be awards for you've looked at the niche of young people in construction. Am I correct?
Yeah.
Now, it's a rare. I was surprised seeing you go into that part, and I'll tell you for one reason. Maybe that's not the kind of business that people think young people. Your ability to recognize people that are doing the work in that sector. What gave birth to you going into that niche and having a need for yourself in that area?
So about 2 years ago, I was genuinely praying and asking God for wisdom, and He gave me this idea for the Building the Future Awards. The Building the Future Awards are designed to inspire the next generation into the construction and built environment sector here in the UK. In the UK, there's a skill shortage. There's a numbers gap of people going into the industry. There's a wrong narrative around the industry that it's for the kids who are bad, the kids who are underachieving, the kids who come out of prison, and both parents, careers workers, teachers don't really advise kids to go into it. It's not their first choice. When the reality is that there are a whole host of opportunities in the industry, whether it's architecture, whether it's management, site management, project management, design, you name it, surveillance, law, consultancy, so many strands in the industry to be considered, yet it's not one that kids are often pushed into. And so it was realizing this, that there's an opportunity for young people in our city. There's a huge youth unemployment problem. And the thing was, youth being my passion, how can I help to inspire these kids into construction and creating opportunities for them? Well, let's celebrate and showcase and recognize those who are already in the industry, aged 18 to 35, in an industry that is not very self-promoting, in an industry where people don't really blow their own trumpet. They're not really known for saying, hey, here I am, look at me. The stories that we've seen so far have been phenomenal. I had an email yesterday, some people who won awards last year writing to us, telling us that they've gotten promotions, that it's changed their lives. They've gotten new jobs. Their lives have been impacted just by being showcased and promoted in these awards, right? And so we want to see this happen en masse. Everyone connected and involved, getting new jobs, promotion opportunities, and then young people seeing this and going, actually, this is not bad. Let me consider this for my degree or for my A-levels or for a BTEC, a professional, a T-level qualification. Like, let me think about this, and hopefully, we're going to bless our city. Our city will be impacted by it because kids will go into jobs. I was on a site recently in the city here, and English was a third language. They were struggling to find people from the UK to take the jobs, right? So I'm believing that our city will be blessed by this. Our communities will be blessed. Young people will be blessed as a result of this project. And by the grace of God, we'll see this spread wider and wider across the country.
Okay.
So firstly, I'll commend you on that. I think that's the best way to give hope. People don't always understand, like it's like holding a mirror up. Whenever you show a young person that this is like a future that is possible, you inspire more than, because they have gangs, they have groups, and they'll go back to their tribes and they become light. So I think well done on that. So two more things before I let you go. Errol, you give me a summary of all your books. So for all those books, so you tell us what the message is and why we should go pick it up. And so we'll start with the first one, postcode.
So here in the UK, the postcode represents a small location.
Okay.
And the globe, which is limitation, the globe represents possibility, no limitation. Anything's possible. And so postcode to the globe, I came across some young people many years ago who had never left Aston here. They'd never left their postcode. They'd not even gone to the city centre. And there's a bunch of reasons why. And so in this book, I aim to tackle all kinds of limitation that might prevent somebody from being the best version of themselves as a young person. It's aimed at young people or those that work with young people. I could tell you so many stories about this book, people coming up to me randomly, having the book in their bag and being like, I've just seen you, I can't believe it. I've been reading this book, it's changed my life. If you're a young person, a parent of a young person, or a practitioner working with young people, or you just want some inspiration for your life, get a copy of From the Postcode to the Globe. My second book is called Teenpreneur, How to Build a Business in Your Teens. Again, I was delivering some entrepreneurship workshops, and there was a 14-year-old girl in my workshop who came to me so passionate about starting a business. She had the desire, she had the right attitude, the right mindset, but not the right knowledge. And I wrote this book with her in mind from start to finish. I had a picture of this young 14-year-old teenager in mind. And I'm so glad that this book has been probably my most popular one, actually. All around the world, it's been translated into, I think it's Vietnamese, and the publisher contacted me to translate it to Vietnamese or something like that. And, all around the world, I've had basketball teams in America buy this book for every member of their basketball team and what have you, and just been so powerful. And then I wrote after that Teenpreneur 2. Teenpreneur 2, the follow-up to the first version. Okay. This is all about sales and marketing. So you've got your idea now from the first book and you've got your business going. How do you market and sell your Teenpreneur 2? And then we have Set Free. Put those down there. Set Free is my first, if you like, just pure Christian book, if you like. This is aimed at those who may be struggling with any kind of habit or addiction or form of bondage and trying to find a way out, whether it's sexual in nature, whether it's drug related, whatever it might be. I believe in Set Free you can find a way to break through. And then the last one is the
new one.
Yeah, this is I just recently edited this. It's a revised edition.
Awesome. Of
the 5 core abilities of highly effective leaders. And this book I wrote because at a point in my journey, I had an inner conflict about how can you be successful as a Christian and be wealthy and rich even as a Christian? How do the two things go together?
Yeah.
And so my solution was to interview over 140 Christian leaders from around the world. I found them in a number of ways, and I contacted hundreds, about 400 maybe. I managed to get interviews with 140 of them on my podcast. You can find the podcast. It's called the Rising Generation Leadership Podcast. All the interviews are there. And I asked them a number of questions to identify how they did it. How have you become a household name in your industry? They were all international figures. How have you done it? Tell me. And from those interviews, I deduced that there were 5 things they all did really well. And I call those the 5 core abilities of highly effective leaders. And so I highly recommend this book. It's a great book. I love this book myself. There's so much wisdom in there for anyone who's trying to grow as a leader. The 5 core abilities. And they're all on Amazon. Okay. So you can go to my website, www.errollawson.com, and find them all listed there as well.
Okay. So, it's not always fair to hold a very important person with your time. Time is very precious, and I understand I've dragged you out here this Saturday morning. So
glad to be here. It's my privilege to be here.
So in 60 seconds, you're speaking to somebody out there that wants to, that is new in the environment, that's listened to you, and you've seen what works, what could work. What could be your own message to anyone who needs to hear from a leadership influencer who understands how the system works, how the UK environment works? What's your own last take for them?
I would really want you to to understand that what you carry is powerful. That you are sitting on an acre of diamonds, somebody once said. I believe that. If you're coming into this country, do not underestimate the wealth of knowledge, of confidence, the experience, the skills that you have. Do not look down on yourself. If you look down on yourself in this environment or any environment, you will become your own worst enemy. Heaven is here or nowhere. It doesn't in fact matter where you go in the world. What you carry on the inside of you is powerful. It's powerful. Now, when we get on stage and we speak on a stage somewhere, we always say to people, when you go on that stage, don't tell people, oh, I'm nervous, or I'm here for the first time, or I'm so sorry, I'm a bit nervous. No, don't apologize. Don't be apologetic. Have boldness, have courage, and go straight in there. Be you. And the same principle applies to somebody coming into this territory. Don't be apologetic. Don't look down on yourself. Don't second guess yourself. Be bold, be confident, be courageous, and understand that what you have come through, the lessons you have learned in life, the principles you have adopted that have gotten you to where you are today, you can thrive in any environments. I believe that. And so it really is for me a mindset thing. It really is purely a mindset thing. I have a friend who's a multi-millionaire Australian guy. Well, he literally came here from Australia with a suitcase and that was all he had. And he came and he's now a multi-millionaire, right? He came with a suitcase and I think he had a bank card, a credit card, and he did what you're doing today. He went around and he found the people in that city of London who were the influencers, and he bought them a meal and had a chat with them and asked them questions. And he gathered information and found out what was happening in the city, in the environment. And because of his tenacity, his self-belief, his confidence, his boldness, he's a global household name in his industry. And so please do not make excuses. You can have excuses in life, or you blame my color, the way I speak, my religion.
Which is very easy to do.
Easy to do. My height, my weight, my gender, whatever, excuses in life, or you can have success in life, but you can't have both. Excuses or success, you choose.
Okay.
So it's left for us to choose. So there's a question I normally ask my guests. Would you say you've broken your coconut?
Yeah.
Because this is yours. Every of my guests, I give them this coconut. So let me explain what it means, It's your coconut. You could do anything with it. You could break it. You could flip it.
Okay.
But coconut means several things. When we started the journey of breaking a coconut, the idea is that there's always a coconut to break.
Okay.
So, and when you break the coconut, the first thing that comes out is the water, right? After the water, you could crack it, eat it. So let me not talk too much. Errol, have you broken your coconut?
What does a coconut represent?
Coconut represents anything that is a challenge in front of you. Any challenge, any goal, everything life throws at you that makes you become better. Would you say you've really overcome everything to finally become? Are you there at that point where God has called you and said, you've done everything God has told me, I've broken all my coconuts? Wow.
I think life is about breaking coconuts, right? I think there is so many to break, there's so many more to break. I like the analogy because, of course, when we break it, there's nourishment inside, there's food, there's life in the coconut, right?
Yeah.
And it's been willing to do the work to break the thing, right? Find the right tool.
Yeah.
Find the right strategy.
Yeah.
Find the right environment in which it can be broken best, and I'm still breaking them, bro. I'm still breaking them. I'm still breaking them. By the grace of God.
Okay. Since you're still breaking them, I'm giving you one more to break.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
So thank you for your time, Errol. Thank you for the wisdom you've shared.
Yeah.
Thank you for coming out to do this. I appreciate this, and I know everyone who has listened to this will be able to pick out one or two things. So, what's the best place to find you? Where can we find you and follow you?
Sure. Please check out me on LinkedIn. Eroll Lawson on LinkedIn is the best place to interact with me.
Perfect.
I'm also on Instagram.
Okay.
I'm also on Facebook as well. My website is www.errollawson.com.
Okay. Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Well, good.